So the Kaiser equipment, I think, is unique. We talk about this bigger movement in research to support external cues to drive performance rather than internal cues.
Right.
The Kaiser equipment that we have with the leg press really kind of like helps the client understand where they're at and almost like push themselves. So we use a maximal push test. We compare it side to side, just for strength measures. And you want to see what percentage of their surgical limb can push of their normal limb. And typically at that 6-month time frame, they're like 85% or less. And then you take 30% of that and drop the weight down and see how hard and how fast they can move each leg. And you want to get that peak power, and they can see that peak power on the faceplate of the Kaiser, and it's driving how much effort they put in with their surgical leg. So it set the standard with your healthy leg. Say it's 1,000 is their peak power at 30% of the 1 RM. And then their surgical leg is challenged to hit that number. And if it doesn't hit it, it gives a percentage. Then they see it. And then you just you coach them like, let's make it go. And let's see if you can beat that number. And then you actually get a true measure because they're guided by an external cue.
Yeah. It's a great test, but it's also an awesome training tool.
Yeah, you want motor unit recruitment, make them move fast and give them that external cue to make it happen.
Yeah, I think that's for our facilities at Keim, that is one of our required pieces of equipment is have a leg press with this power display on it, because it does this. It's phenomenal for this population of ACL rehab, where we can say, hey, healthy leg, and let's go. How much can you press, period? So we can get an absolute strength measure. And then we can also look at a power measure. Now let's drop that weight down. Let's look at your speed and get a power number. Then we compare that to the other side. It's always an eye-opening experience for these folks. Even if, we see it with patellofemoral pain, Achilles, you name it, anything lower extremity, it's amazing where they're like, wow, like that's just incredibly weak, which then stimulates this amazing commitment to like, I've got to get this stronger, right? We had a guy, I've used this for years, and it's such a great tool, but I had an older guy who was a doctor. He's actually a physician, plays soccer recreationally, tore his ACL. He's like 40. And it was funny, like most of the stuff we got to, he did really, really well. And if you do this well, I think if you do ACL rehab well, by month 3 on, it's really focused on strength and it's really focused on agility training. And, at his age at 40, the amount of agility work we were doing was probably a little bit less than we would do with somebody who was 18, of course. But yet he was going back to recreational soccer, so we still did a lot of things. But there's this obvious, how much PT do I need tone? Like I understand what you're trying to teach me. I can go do this for 2 or 3 weeks on my own. And great. So we did that, of course. But I told him, I said, hey, when you're driving by the facility at night, swing in, and I want you to hit the leg press, and you're just gonna do your 3 sets and your maximum power output. So you really isolate that limb and get it going. And for him, that's what kept him like focused and honest for his entire rehab process to take this thing for 9 months. You can imagine at 40, 45 years old, and then doing 9 months of rehab, like that's a hell of a commitment. Like when you're 18, it's one deal, or 25 as a pro athlete, or whatever it might be. But to do it in later ages of life, it's just such a commitment. So that was great for him, and it's just unbelievable mental focus. And then it was great to watch him at him. He just being there, just boom, grinding, and he's making noise. Like, whoa, he's like, man, John, like 85%, almost there. I'm like, all right, keep it up, man. You're almost doesn't count, and we need to get over that 90 crust.
Yeah.
And it was a tremendous motivation for him, and it was a phenomenal tool, and one I've used many, many times. So I love the Kaiser stuff. I was talking with Dennis Kaiser, with the owner of Kaiser, many years ago, and we were talking about the specificity of the equipment. And obviously, I used it a ton with Mark Verstegen at Athletes Performance, and they developed so much together. But what's so cool about the Kaiser stuff is you can move at any speed, and you have constant resistance. So it really allows you to measure power. And no matter who you're working with, whether it be a geriatric patient trying to get out of a chair, or an athlete returning to football or soccer or explosive sports, it's really about power production. What's your motor unit recruitment like? What's your muscle mass like? How do those two things work together? Can you generate force to move your own body at the end of the day? So the load might vary, but at the end of the day, you all got to produce power. And I think we missed that even in the geriatric population a bit, where we kind of get too comfortable just doing really slow stuff, easy stuff. And then what does that create? Slow, easy results. So we'd like to see, hey, maybe think about challenging that in other ways and making them work a little harder. So great tool, great biofeedback tool, and produces the result for what we need. So.